Yes, like the brother said before, my name is Abdullah. I was born as Darren Laban. 25 years ago I was born, and I was also raised here in Toronto. And 1 year ago, I thought I had my whole life planned out, or the next 10 years at least. I was going after 2 careers. I was an amateur boxer. I was also a photographer. But I was heading in those 2 directions, and I was on my way to a pretty successful career in both careers. And then I came across this thing called Islam, and everything changed. My whole world, changed. And I knew this was my true destiny. It was the only thing that felt real, and that was the only thing that was like solid in my heart. Everything else was just more of a dream, but this was real. It was a journey that began 16 years ago. 8 years ago, because even before that I didn't really even believe in God. At least not truly, but even though I went to a Catholic school, but it was not something that we really believed in. It was more something that was just, forced upon us. And like I said, 8 years ago was the first time I actually believed in there was a real creator, because I was 16 years old. I used to get into a lot of trouble, and I ended up in jail one time as a youth. And the night before my sentencing, I was going before the judge, and the night before I was praying for the first time. I never really actually believed my prayers, but I thought this time, I have no one else to talk to, so I just prayed to my Creator. And I asked the Creator, to make the judge show some leniency on me, and just to believe that I was humble and I was remorseful, and that she should send me home to my family. So then the day of my sentencing, I went in front of the judge. I sat there nervously, and she actually said that she believed that I was remorseful, and she believed I was humble, and then she also sent me home to my family. So I thought, wow, it woke me up. I thought, here, my prayers are answered. So after that, I started taking life a little bit more seriously, and I thought I should try to make some effort to straighten myself up. So it was a difficult time I was going through, but I thought, hey, this time I was trying to straighten myself out, even though I was still involved in some major things, haram things. And the best thing that actually happened to me was moving out of that area a year later. And I ended up going to a new high school. I didn't know anybody, and this actually allowed me to concentrate on my studies and pull up my grades and stuff like that. And a few years later, I actually graduated from high school, which it doesn't seem much, but where I grew up, it was a big deal, because a lot of the brothers I grew up with were really big on education. So I was the first one to actually get my high school diploma. And then as I started to mature, I started thinking more about my purpose of life and the purpose of life. I knew there's a creator, but I was still so confused. I didn't know what's the way to go. So I started I just started thinking, and then I always wondered what was my purpose of life, because people were telling me, like as in school and stuff like that, just in society, that life was just about getting a good job, getting a house and a car, and getting married, and planning for retirement and all those things. But I thought, that's why these people the people who actually believe this, they're not happy. How come they're not happy? I started asking questions. And why do they get so depressed? And why are they, their life is like in misery, even though they pretend that everything's okay, because they got a little bit of money and some property or whatever. But I knew this wasn't my true destiny. I knew this wasn't the way I wanted my life to go. Surprisingly, one day I came back to my old neighborhood, and I found out some of the guys I grew up with actually accepted Islam. And it was kind of a shocking thing to me, because these guys are just knuckleheads like me, and all of a sudden they're dressed sunnah and they're praying and all this stuff. They're talking better, they're acting better. So it was kind of a shock to me. So then they started giving me some dawah, and it wasn't hard for me to believe that soon after speaking with these brothers that my Creator was one, and He didn't have any partners or sons or daughters, that He was beyond all that. So that wasn't hard for me to grasp at all. But I did reject everything else about Islam at that point. And I also rejected the religion I was born into, which was Christianity, because it just didn't make sense to me either. But I felt like I should keep searching for the truth. In the early months of last year, 2003, I used to visit a friend of mine. He was actually a Muslim brother. He worked in a local store. and we used to talk, and he told me about this place called the Dawah Center. But at the time, I wasn't too interested, but he told me, you know, check this place out, you know, there'll be some nice brothers there who will help you out, give you some answers about Islam. But at that point, I wasn't too motivated about Islam at that point. But anyways, alhamdulillah, I ended up going actually a little while after, because I thought, you know, it's something I should at least look into. So I started studying other religions at that point as well, but just trying to find a common ground between all of them, but it was pretty hard to do. And all I could find in between all the religions was that good character was something that was recommended, and being kind and stuff like that, but it still wasn't, you know, a deeper knowledge I was looking for. So yeah, one day I decided to check out the Dawah Center, and alhamdulillah, I found that it was actually close to the boxing gym I was training at, so that kind of shocked me. So I decided to go there briefly before my training began, and I only planned to stay there for a little while, like half an hour or something before I went training, and then it was about 3 p.m. in the afternoon, sorry. And I actually ended up leaving at 1 o'clock in the morning as a Muslim. Took my shahada, and I knew when I left that place that my whole life had led me to that day, because I knew this was my true destiny, this was what I was looking for. Yeah, anyways, so I just knew, and I started to hang around Muslims. I started hanging around a new set of people now.